Love and blessings to everybody. I want to say hi and greetings to everyone from here in Belize. Hope you all are doing well. I hope you guys are growing, developing, and learning every day. I wanted to talk a little bit about bills and loans and money. I'll talk a little bit about natural law, about these serious things that affect reality. When I first started getting into this all natural common law, freeman, strawman, birth certificate fraud thing, one of the things that really caught my interest, and I think a lot of people's interest, it really seems to capture people's interest in hearing that we don't have to pay for bills, like electricity bills, public utility bills, simply because it's prepaid. And all we have to do is sign it a certain way and send it back to them, and we don't have to really pay anything from our pockets because it's prepaid. So it took a while to understand what the heck that means, because off the bat, that doesn't even, it sounds wonderful, sounds like a great idea, sounds like it should make sense. But off the back, doesn't make sense, right? You have to learn certain things. I learned a few things along the way, and I think many of us are learning as we go along the way. So when we're learning about this whole natural law, common law, strawman, birth certificate fraud thing, all this, we're learning that if we start to pay closer attention to the words, the definitions of these words that we're using so loosely, freely, and so liberally, it's like we already know what it means. When we start to look into what those words mean, we start to realize that there is a little bit more to what meets the eye. So, for example, paper money. Paper money is considered something that we use to pay our bills. But when we look at what paper money is, it says legal tender on the paper money, and we look at the definition of legal tender, and we see that it's not, you cannot really pay a debt with legal tender. And we're looking into it some more, and we find out that the reason that you can't pay a bill with a legal tender, because the legal tender is a promise to pay from the bank to us for our securities. And then that leads us to something else. There's like, what the hell? Securities? What the hell is that? What do you mean by that? I don't understand it. And then you start to learn a little bit more, and you hear that how your signature pays for everything. Or your signature is what has the value. Yeah. And again, you start to learn a little bit more, but it gets a little bit more deeper and a little bit more heavier. But as you go along learning, you find out that, well, the reason why you can't pay a bill is because a long time ago, a system changed, governments changed, countries went bankrupt, and all this new corporate system was put into place, and this whole financial system was made into a credit system, in where what backs up everything is the labor of man, is the value of man, how much man can give. So I'll give an example. So right now, today, I saw a news. It was a news about this young man, or this man. He is an artist, and he paints, and he draws, and he goes into town, and he paints and does all these beautiful murals that are lifelike. And he does it here in Belize, and it's so beautifully done. Automatically grabs the attention of anybody, even the local news media have to pay it mind. But also what it does is it beautifies wherever he is. And it got me thinking, is that man right there is worth a lot. That man right there is worth a whole lot, especially with what he's doing, because he's able to turn a piece of society and beautify it and make it more commercially valuable. This story inspired me. It made me even write something, a post. It's basically, I wrote that it is the creative and productive quality of man which is the true money of the world. the real value, and the real value which backs up all paper and digital representations in existence. Man or woman builds, paints, constructs, puts together, invents, develops everything in society, and therefore man or woman has the innate and divine worth and value. This quote unquote value that man and woman has, right, is secured by our signature. It is what the banks purchase from a man or a woman in exchange for paper money. This is what I mean. We have been educated to believe that banks give out loans, but the reality is that banks are in the business of buying securities with their own promissory notes called banknotes, aka paper money. So they buy a promissory note from us and they give us in exchange a promissory note. But this is what people ask. Don't we sign a promise to pay back that money back to the bank? Isn't that the contract? Isn't that what it is? Aren't we being lent money? Now we gotta pay it back. Isn't that what's happening? Think about this. When we give a promissory note to the bank, this promissory note is a promise to continue giving society our natural energy and credits to the legal and commercial entities called corporations, which are corporate service providers in society. Commercial entities. The banks pay us for our promissory note, aka bank loan, with their own version of a promissory note called a bank note, aka legal tender. Let me expand on this. So let's say I'm a farmer and I have my neighbor, and everybody knows I'm a farmer for years. My neighbor, he's a mechanic. My truck, let's say, is in the shop. It's no good, and I want him to fix it. And I need him to lend me one of his cars so I can continue along my business. But I don't have anything to pay him right away in exchange for that. But he knows I'm a farmer. So what I can do is I put on paper a promise to pay him with my produce as soon as it is ready. Let's say in 2 to 3 months. I say, you know what, within 2 to 3 months I'll promise to give you so much produce, boom, in exchange for this which you're helping me out with. That paper right there is a promise to pay. Now my neighbor, has the option to accept this. And if he's satisfied with that promise to pay, then he'll say, you know what, go ahead, I'll fix your car. You can borrow this one right here for now. Just take care of it. And when time comes, I'll use this paper right here as proof to redeem what you promised to me. Now, I didn't pay him. Didn't pay off the debt that I owe him. But it did satisfy it with my promise to pay. Right? So when the day comes, he can redeem it, or he or she can redeem with that paper, right? Even if I'm not there, somebody's taking care of my stuff, it'll see my signature there saying, yeah, he said that. So that promise to pay certain amount of my labor, which is being produced and it's being presented and packaged in the form of produce, in the form of maybe vegetables or fruits, it is still my energy that I'm exchanging. Now that piece of paper, that promise to pay, maybe he decides that he needs something from somebody else, and now he wants to exchange him with this promissory note, then that individual can use this promissory note to collect the produce in a few months if the mechanic didn't want to do. So the promise to pay, the paper with my signature, promise to give something that my energy produces, becomes valuable. That becomes money, something you can change and interchange, right? So let's say we wanted to sell this to the bank. Let's say we wanted to tell the bank, we promise to pay you back, right? What we're saying is we're promising to pay back to all these commercial entities which accept their banknotes. meaning that we will make sure that we engage in society. We use that banknotes that they're going to give us for our promissory notes. So we're going to sell them this, and they're going to give us banknotes, and we're going to use these banknotes in a society, and we're going to, let's say, use that money to construct, to build, to produce, to generate commercial transactions. So our energy, our promise will be honored by us just maintaining our engagement in society, right? So as we sell them our promise to pay in return for banknotes, that is an even exchange. So every loan is actually an even and fair exchange. One promise for another promise. That's how I am interpreting it right now. That's how I've come to interpret it so far until now. Think of it like this. So let's take this man who paints that I was talking about, right? The man who paints, he does an excellent job. He beautifies the environment. He attracts many tourists, which increases the flow of commercial activities, which further creates opportunities for others to interact socially and commercially. His work is adding value to his society, to the society that he's a part of. In other words, his society is benefiting from him, is benefiting and being enriched by his work, by his labor, because that man is a source of unlimited commercial energy. All right? So let's say if he had a pending loan with the bank, this type of social work that he does, which is enriching the society where he's in, right? In essence, it fulfills that promise to pay, which he signs as aka loan, and it should offset the debt to the bank by that work that he did, by that labor which he gave to society. So this is why when we read the bills of exchange, whenever anybody reads that bills of exchange, the bills of exchange is the governing authority of banks. So it explains that paying a bill simply involves accepting it for value. Nowhere in the document does it say that a bill can be paid with legal tender or paper money or banknotes. It doesn't say that you can pay a bill. It says you can discharge it. It does say that. You can accept it. It doesn't say you can pay it with gold or silver. It just says you can accept it. The bills of exchange is based on a credit system, from what I can see and I can interpret, where everything is already prepaid. And you say, prepaid how? Well, again, the people's commercial energy is what pays for everything via the public trust administrations and banks or funds. So this is how I've come to understand it. So these utility bills right here, they are supposedly just to notify us of the commercial energy that they require us to give them on a piece of paper. And we're supposed to sign this a certain way, authorizing them to use that commercial credit, thereby offsetting the balance or the books in the private side. As far as that's how I've come to understand it. But we're all still learning, we're all still sharing, and I wanted to bring that up. If you know a little bit more about this topic and want to share, please put it in the comments, or please comment about it. Again, I'm just sharing my interpretation of it so far. I mean, this whole topic is can be very complicated sometimes, but it does have a lot of common sense in it. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys have to maybe offer into the subject, and let's talk about it if you're interested. And let's keep learning and sharing. Thank you again for joining. Thank you for watching. You guys have a blessed day. Take care.